Shalom, my friends. Rarely have I had a harder time deciding what I wanted to share with you as the Torah portion of Bereshit, because this parsha is so rich. It is so filled with mysteries and secrets and beauty, and it's not fair that we have so little time to swim in these rich waters. You know, I often say that if you want to understand the deepest aspects of the Jewish people, you study the Exodus from Egypt, which is the Genesis story, the origin story of our nation. And if you want to understand the deepest aspects of mankind, you study the Torah portion of Bereshit, the Genesis story of mankind, of the world. So as I read through the Torah portion on Shabbat, I was sitting with my wife and my daughter, and one part spoke out to me with particular relevance to what's happening on a personal level, on a global level, around the whole world right now, and it was the story of Cain and Hevel. Cain and Abel. And we know the story well. They were the first two sons of Adam and Chava, Adam and Eve. Cain was a shepherd, and Abel was a worker of the land. He was a farmer. And Abel offered the best of his produce, and God accepted his offering. And Cain's offering was not of the best of his flock, and God did not favor it as he favored his brothers. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about this today is because Cain's tragic and mistaken response to this dark moment in his life is still echoing throughout history, even to this day. Now, having been born in America and being a fourth generation Texan, my eyes are very much on the disturbing events that are unfolding in America today, which are having ripple effects throughout the world. And I think a lot of the attributes are really from this portion of Cain. His response is very much reflecting what's happening in America as well. So Cain offers a sacrifice and it was rejected. He must have seen his brother's sacrifice miraculously accepted by the creator of heaven and earth, and his was ignored, and it was so devastating for him. And what was his response? Vayichar leCain ma'od, vayipluf panav. And Cain became very angry, and his face fell. Rabbi Mordechai Schiffman, he shared an important psychological insight that these were two separate emotional responses that played in with each other. At first glance, they seem like anger and depression. Clearly, there was shame and jealousy mixed in there as well. It was a whole mix of emotions. Now, this is very human, particularly at the infancy of mankind, to experience such raw and visceral emotions as jealousy and shame, anger and depression. I'm sure we can all identify with these emotions one way or another at some point in our lives at least. But then God himself comes in and addresses Cain, and he gives him divine advice. And Hashem said to Cain, "Why are you angry? Why is it that your countenance has fallen? If you do well, shall you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin lies at the door. And to you shall be his desire, and he may rule over you." God says essentially, don't be angry at your brother and don't resent him. Don't seek his failure or his downfall. Seek your own success. You can be successful too. Draw inspiration from him. Fight the darkness. Fight the evil urge. Fight the jealousy. I'm here waiting for your return. Now let's take a moment and look at these emotions. Anger. What's wrong with anger? Well, the sages of Israel equate anger to idolatry. The very act of being angry is saying, this should not be happening now. I know what should be happening now, and this, what's happening now, is not what should be happening now. But if we know everything is from Hashem, that everything is divinely orchestrated by God, perfectly tailored for us, to give us the maximum opportunity to grow and to refine our character, and thereby come closer to him, then we wouldn't ever be angry. It's only when we believe that we are the creator, and we know the way things should be. It's only in those moments that we get angry. And jealousy, let's take a look at that. In Pirkei Avot, Ethics of Our Fathers, it says, Hakina, hata'ava, v'hakavod, motzin et adam min ha'olam. Rabbi Elazar said, jealousy, lust, and desire for honor take a person out of the world. And I've always wondered, and I've been thinking, why is that the case? I can understand it's a negative emotion, but why those words those are the things that take someone out of the world? Why? And the answer hit me. When one is jealous of their neighbor, they have built an alternate world in their head, that their neighbor's car, house, job, wife, whatever, should belong to them. In their minds, they have created this fantasy reality. And the more different this idea is, the more different this ideal is from their actual life, the more they're unhappy with the real world, God's world. God's world in which he knows what is best, and he gives everybody exactly what they need. This sheds light on how God could even legislate the 10th commandment. Thou shalt not covet. That's the 10th commandment. It seems rather ambitious or even unrealistic to command someone to feel an emotion. How can God tell us not to feel envy? But now we can understand the reason. Because coveting isn't real. It's an illusion. It's no different than a doctor coveting the tools of a plumber, or a farmer coveting the tools of an airplane pilot. We're given exactly the tools we need to come close to God and to serve him, and thereby live meaningful and happy lives. And being jealous of anyone else's anything is merely a denial of God's kingship. And as we see with Cain, we end up hurting no one but ourselves. As Cain spends the rest of his life wandering the world, lost in sorrow and regret, bearing the weight of his sin, which, as he said himself, Gadol Avonim means so. It's simply too great for him to bear. Now open your hearts, my friends. Here is the real tragedy of the whole story. Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach quotes a midrash passed down from ancient times that, in my opinion, testifies to its own truth. The midrash says that Cain was so filled with anger, jealousy, rage, and pain that, yes, he did hit his brother, but he didn't want to kill him. He didn't even know there was such a thing as death. And when Abel fell to the ground, Cain immediately regretted hitting him. He fell to the ground next to his brother, and he cried, and he wept, and he shook his brother, saying, wake up, my precious brother, wake up. I'm so sorry, wake up. The sages say that for 3 days he knelt next to his brother, weeping, begging him to wake up, and he never did. Abel never woke up. Hashem, Abba, there's so much hatred in the world. There's so much jealousy, so much envy, so much resentment. Please, Hashem, look down at your children. Look down at all of mankind and open our eyes. You've been hiding behind the mask of nature, behind the scenes for so long. Please, Hashem, reveal yourself, and banish the darkness with your beautiful, holy light. Heal all the Cains of the world. Banish their hatred and their anger and their depression, and fill their hearts with light and love, and revive all the Abels. Bring them back to life so they can embrace their brothers and forgive them. All of us here, we're all praying for redemption. Perhaps none of us even fully understand what redemption even means. I know that I don't fully understand, but we all know that it's from you, and we are praying for you, for your light, and for your peace, for you're the only one who can bring true peace to the world. Thank you, my friends. Thank you, Jeremy. Back to you.